Greetings, warlords. Welcome to Saga Thursday, the show. Turned my camera off there. The show all about the skirmish miniatures game from Studio Tomahawk. There we go. That's the right button. And joined once again by Monty. How's it going, man?
It's going good, Rodge. How about yourself?
I'm pretty good. Been super busy doing some freelance occupational work stuff, cutting into my painting time. The patrons have seen that. But other than that, I think that should be wrapping up later this week. And I got a good little stretch before Fimbulwinter. I got some terrain to work on. It's been a while since I've had a terrain blast of stuff to get out here. But today we're going to talk about stuff. Money here.
Yes, we will.
First up, we might have a long episode. We might have a short episode. You'll probably know before you click this which one it is. But Monty is a little under the weather potentially. So we are going to do a little bit of news stuff, jump into the paint contest wrap up, which we got a ton of entries this time. So we're going to do the paint contest first. And then if we are feeling good, we will get into the Crusades faction reviews, which is, kind of the highlights here. Which Crusades faction sounds good to you? You know, what are its strengths, weaknesses? How does it play? Does the difficulty match what the book says? So we did that on Vikings last year. It was a good episode, really fun to do.
Yep.
And we're going to try to do it again, hopefully this episode. Otherwise, maybe the one after. All right, so let's get cracking here. Fimbulwinter, like I said, as we record this, less than 3 weeks to go, Monty.
Yes.
You're coming. I'm
Counting
coming.
the days.
We know a lot of people. It's going to be fun. We're sitting at 25 right now. Now, I'm expecting a couple more signups, but at this point, you got to expect a couple drops too. So I'm thinking around that 25 mark is where we're going to end up, which is great compared to, I think, 10 last year. So, we're getting some travelers.
Yep.
We're doing a charity raffle. So if you sign up for the event, make sure to check your email for the details on that. And we have one last bit of business for the Battle of the Heroes. Every episode, I've been eliminating one option for the players, and this last one is Regicide. We are not going to play Regicide. The game ends when the warlord is killed, so somebody is going to go for a turn 2 kill, maybe even a turn 1.
Right.
A lot of them aren't going to work, but one of them's going to succeed, and then I'm going to have to listen to that guy complain about it for the rest of the weekend. So
yep. Yes, you will.
We're kicking that one to the side. So, we've eliminated, I think 12 out of this deck. So literally those cards are going to be removed, and then at the start of round 2, I'm going to pull one card from each, so even I don't know what scenario we're going to be doing. Round 2.
Love it.
So Monty, last time, as we recorded, the FAQ wasn't out. About, 2 hours after we were done, the FAQ came out.
Yes.
So it actually came out before the episode came out. And, if you hadn't checked it out yet, go to that. So you and I have discussed it a few times now. We still haven't discussed everything about it. So I would recommend going to the Saga Ohio podcast.
Yes.
And they did a good breakdown. And there is some important stuff that we didn't really either glean or, people are finding nuggets all the time. So now I did make a comment last time. I was waiting for the FAQ to talk about one thing. So one thing with the FAQ, which was confirmed, was the redirect language has been removed as far as activation reactions. So that was not in the rule book, but it was added to the first FAQ that came out. So what I'm talking about is if you declared a charge on somebody and somebody did an activation reaction to move in between your unit and the charging unit. So to block them, according to the rules, you can't make the charge, so the charge is canceled. They put in some language that said you can just redirect into that unit that got in the way. So thematically it makes sense, but it was just kind of a weird thing from like a Saga. It doesn't really fit with everything else going on with Saga, the way it was designed. So they've like removed that language from the fact. So now when you can pull that old trick out, so it was like a Normans and Welsh pulling that trick back.
Yep.
Back when the second edition first came out. So that one's back in the playbook. If you get in the way, you will block the charge, and the charge is canceled. And if you want to charge that unit in the way, you're gonna have to make another activation. And if you're playing the Welsh, that might be tricky. I don't know, or somebody else. So I just wanted to bring that up, and definitely listen to that podcast episode. So, all right, let's move on to the paint contest.
Yes.
And sponsored by our chums, Gripping Beast. And let me see if I can click the right button here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's jump over to the Discord server. So if you're not on there, definitely get on there. Some cheeky picks. So when did that episode go up? I think the 5th.
Yep. And I think your first painted unit drops on the 16th. There was someone who painted a distant Saga of History on the 14th. He didn't have any before, and he just took a really quick work in progress, and I don't think he put the rest of it up there. So okay. I think your first painted unit is Luke's on the 16th.
All right. Yeah. So I should make a note of that. Right. By the time the next paint contest rolls around, I've already forgotten completely about the last one. So I wonder what the record is. So that's 16th to 5th. That's 11 days for a unit here. So we're looking at a point of Javelin Warriors. So our theme here was Age of Alexander. And these look like, I'm assuming some Thracians, Monty?
Yep, looks very Thracian based on the shields and the cloaks.
Yeah, I like the colors here. They're popping. This kind of reminds me of a Monty paint style. Is this a Monty paint style, would you say?
I think this is pretty close, yeah. Bright colors and high highlights. I like it.
Yeah, I think it works good. Bold colors and not too shabby. Yeah, congrats on being number one there, the first.
Yep.
These are cool. What do you think? Gripping Beast?
I don't recognize them. And one thing I noticed when I was scrolling through the picks for today, there are a surprising number of, I believe, 3D print resins. So I don't recognize these, but that doesn't mean they can't be, Warlord Games or something. So
it could be those guys as well.
Yeah.
All right, Tim, getting his army.
Yeah.
Completed.
So the story behind the story, there was a sub-thread. I believe Tim did this in 4 days. He had a tournament coming up, and life is busy, and he's like, I will do this quickly, and success.
Yeah, it goes to show that, you don't have to make it so complicated to, like, finish an army, for me, I got to do this, got to come up with my plan, and everybody's got to be a different color. I mean, it looks fine. It looks good. Not every army you do has to be, the very best that you could ever do. And that's cool. It's kind of, I don't know, what army is this? It just kind of looks like it's thrown together. We got some Romans.
Right.
Some Sarissas.
Yep. I think it is oh my gosh. You know what? I was going to say Greek, but I really shouldn't guess. I think it might have said somewhere, and now I don't remember. Yeah.
What I do like is that the cloak on the warlord. You know, it kind of looks like a freaking like Mustang or something. You know, it's got like a slight gloss to it. He's like, check this out, boys. Check out this sweet fade. Looks good. Now for these overachievers, yeah, you do got to pick out 1 point here. So I'm only going to count one of these units, but good effort. Good effort.
I love it.
All right.
Well, they made it to a tournament, so good job.
Yeah, nice work. Now, Gossard 267. I'm loving the aqua.
Oh, yeah. Here. Yeah.
So, I'm definitely tickled by this color card. I like the yellow, too, because it's kind of unusual. The shields look good.
Yep.
I like the aqua because the speed paint blue, like I realized it's not a blue, it is like an aqua color. So like if you're trying to be blue and you're getting aqua, you're going to be ticked. But if you're just like, oh, I want aqua, then that's the right one. So I think I might be using a color similar to this on my Macedonian successors. I'm thinking here. So could be nice with some red or some blue, but these guys look good.
They really do.
These what are you? Did he say what these were? Are these Victrix or maybe the Atlantic?
Ooh, good one. I thought they were Victrix, but I could be wrong. They could be Atlantic.
Yeah,
Darn
I'm
it.
not sure.
Where would I find it quickly? I can't.
It's good. There's a lot of highlight work.
Yeah, I like it.
I bet these ones look really good from like the 3-4 foot range. You know, they probably look better than technically better painted ones.
Right. He's got at least high highlights. He's got, nice dark base, mid highlight, and maybe even one more. I can see like a little kind of like whitish or robin's egg blue in there. So
yeah, they look good.
Really makes it pop.
All right. Chicago Saga guy, Terry.
Yep.
Finished the Indian heavy chariots from
Yes.
the first core miniatures. So these, I'm getting kind of sweaty just looking at these. The amount of effort that's gone in.
Exactly.
I hate painting things separately and putting them together, and it looks like you like have to do that.
You would have
on
to.
this stuff here. Yeah, so tremendous effort on these. Taken, we give extra points for the horses. Definitely extra for the chariots and the heavy chariots. Yeah, I would put like, if this was me, I'd put one guy on the reins and then one guy working the bow.
Right. I mean, that must have been pretty wild. Like 4 guys riding in a big old chariot pulled by 4 horses, and there's no like safety harness or belts or handles. One bump, and you think all 3 of them are probably gone. But yeah, I love it. And he's gone the extra mile and done is it traces, the tethers? I'm 90% sure, 95% sure he added that. Yeah.
Little string stuff going on there.
Right. Just because it wasn't enough work to put the whole thing together, paint them separately, get them all squeezed into, one chariot. Yeah, that's the extra mile.
Dude, yeah, definitely. That's pain working a string that small. You ever try to
exactly.
Try to sew a button back on, Monty?
Yeah, I think I'd rather buy a new shirt.
Okay.
Nicely done.
Yeah, very, very well done. A lot of effort went into those, and yeah, they look cool. Yeah, no seatbelts or none. It's equivalent of kind of the country guys in the back of the pickup truck.
Oh no!
Going down to the liquor store. All right, Victrix Persian Hearthguard from Glotkin here. Thank you for putting the manufacturer there in the title. I'm going to make a note to myself. I don't know if I'll read this note, but I'm going to put instructions in the paint contest to put the manufacturer in the description. Yeah, these guys look awesome. What do you think, Monty?
Awesome. I love it. I mean, they really do look like, your best of the best. They're purple and kind of like that dark red and the little whatever that is. I want to say it's not iconography. There's an actual proper term for it, but yeah, this is awesome.
The like banner pole.
Yes, thank you.
Looks like the snake or a coral snake. The basic, that's crazy.
Yes.
That's like fantasy style basic. You don't see that in historicals. It looks really cool. That's awesome.
Love it.
I like those shields too. Are those the shields that they come with?
Gosh, I guess so. He's done a really nice job
cool,
of really picking out the highlights there.
All right, Sagas of History got his Cretan archers done. He's got a nice little display.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's his ruins he uses for games.
Nice.
Put his models on there. These are cool. I really like the that bronze metallic, the helmets on there. Looks really cool. I don't know if it's the angle of the lighting or whatever, but it looks realistic, you know?
Really does.
They're cool. Yeah.
I think they might be Victrix 2. Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. I'm wondering if he did head swaps, because that's the crazy thing about Victrix is once you buy into their system, oh my gosh, you can go wild swapping parts in and out.
Mm-hmm. These are cool. I like the shields and the bows on them.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. All right. Oopsie daisy.
He'll make his buddies cry when he starts firing up those +1 shots with 2 extra shots each time they shoot.
Yeah. They certainly do that.
They're pretty good.
All right, we got some elephants, Monty.
Yes.
First elephants of the con. I was crossing my fingers, hoping we'd see some pachyderms here.
Yep.
So we got 2 of them from the Jarl here.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 points worth. I like both of them.
Yes.
I like that blue. That blue is popping. I think the red one is a little more realistic, and then the blue and purple one is just some nice shininess to it. I like. These are cool.
Really nice. I like the idea, like the little touch of, the elephants are frightening just based on their size, but, the theory that they also may have painted them, right, to make them look more otherworldly or scary, right? It's got 3 red dots on the one and like a little symbols on the other one. Very nice little extra touch.
That's cool, yeah. Put the effort on the shields.
Mm-hmm.
Got to be decals, but they look cool. Very nice. Digging them. Nice. I'm digging them. All right. We've got Greek 31789.
Yep.
Didn't paint any Greeks, but Macedonia, maybe they could be Greek. You can lump them in there. I'm clicking the back here because we got a sexy Jaguar type cloak. Good. That looks awesome. That's really good.
That's a lot of work. Respect. Very nice.
Yeah.
I'm guessing he's the boss.
He must be the boss, man. Yeah, I would get an extra get the 40 mil base and cut out the little squares so you can sit this guy in there, become the warlord if you need it.
Oh, good one.
Looks really cool. So I've assembled a bunch of these. These are the Victrix Sarissas.
Okay.
And I busted a couple already in my first game.
Oh, no.
So, Monty, looking at this picture here, I was thinking about chopping them in half at that little connector point.
Yep.
And putting the blade at that level.
Got it.
Now, what do you think about that, Monty? For me, and then I would say, well, these are Sarissas.
I'd be fine. I mean, seriously, because like you're kind of in a jam. Like either you accept that they're going to keep breaking, and as they break, then what's the solution? Like, do you just like one day you field them and like no one has any sarissas, right?
Yeah.
Like that's where they would trend. The other thing is you cut them, and now that they're painted, or I'm assuming, you're painted, you've progressed. Yeah, you've painted them because you're playing with them. Now you have to cut them and drill out their hands, and that's not very ideal because the arm's been probably just glued with plastic glue, so the arm might snap off and you might mangle the hand. So I think that might be your best. That might be your best alternative.
So they're so thin. I mean, I have seen somebody who did drill out the hands on these models, but when I was looking at them, I was, because I had a bunch of brass rod,
right?
And if I thought it was doable, I'd do it. But they look so thin that it would be very difficult. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking about doing. And looking at metal successor, with the Sarissas or Macedonias, some of the metal ones are super long like this, but some of them are just kind of just slightly longer than normal spears.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm probably leaning towards that. I'm not going to make a decision before I paint them, but I think that's what I'm going to end up doing. And that too, then I can, sometimes they're Sarissas, Monty. Sometimes they're just the regular phalanx.
Agree.
When I was the spears too.
Right.
Yeah.
When I was running successors, I didn't want the Sarissa penalty and slowness, so I ran the Greek version, which is phalanx but not Sarissa. So you know what I mean?
Dude, yeah.
Right. Who wants to sit and paint two whole armies, one with really long pointies, one with slightly less long, stabby bits? I mean, so yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So I think I might end up doing that, but the medals here look great. I really like the greaves on them. The helmets too.
Yep, looks good.
Need a little something on those shields, but that'll do for the contest. Oh, we've got some. These looks like your fantasy Spartans here. I'm sure they are historical, but your 300 guys with the little cloth down there. Keep your eyes off my legs. Eyes up here, Monty. Yeah, these are great. Excellent job on the skin, glowing with the metal there, and for Hearthguard.
Really like it. Like that's like the key to something like this. The whole front, like probably, I mean, when you count the helmet, probably 60% of that front view is brass. So you really want to nail like how the brass looks, and this is really excellent. He's got very dark recesses. I think he mentioned to use some oils. It looks like he's come across with some highlights, and it just really looks good. And a little muddy on the fabric, little muddy on the rim of the bottom of the shield, all the little touches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. Those shields have a lot of depth to them. You can kind of see there's underlying color and then kind of a silverish, and then they look really good. Hopefully they weren't too much work, because if you do your whole army like that, magnifico.
Yep.
All right, we've got another point of Hearthguard here.
Rocky Boy.
Similar successor Hearthguard here. Spears.
Interesting.
The chevrons. These are cool. All the same model. Actually, I do kind of like that a little bit.
I almost think
nostalgic for the 90s plastic.
If I had to guess, I think these might be 3D prints, just because I don't recognize this pose, and because, like you said, it's kind of one style repeated.
Mm-hmm. He's freaking jacked, though. You see the muscles on this dude, man?
Right.
Dude, he looks exactly the same underneath that breastplate. That's what it looks like under there. Nice stuff. Look good. Yes. Yeah, I like these ones. Right. We've got Angus H doing another elephant here.
Yep.
In the contest.
Oh, and nice.
Yeah, this is a nice model.
Yep.
Holy smokes. Got the little kind of the little feathering on the green there, Monty. It looks really good. Elephant. He's nice and crinkly on his legs there. This is awesome. And I think this one's a print too, isn't it?
I think so. I couldn't name who it is, but it really does look like a print. And I think with all of this, you now have, well, I'm trying to remember, do the Persians have the option to run an armored elephant? Even if they don't, it's just awesome the way this elephant is done up.
This guy's awesome, man.
Yeah.
It's good. Nice purple, green, yellow. Well done.
A lot of work.
Well done.
This is another example of like you go to paint an elephant. You go, I'm going to paint an elephant. Well, the elephant has multiple blankets. He has armor. He has, he has people riding on him. He has shields on the howdah, and the list goes on and on. You're like, my gosh, I painted one thing.
All right. Robin 104277 painting up a boatload of Spartans.
Oh, yeah.
For us. These are cool. These are awesome. I really like these. The white and red shield really contrast well with the kind of that the rest of the bronze armor there. I mean, some of the armor is red and white, but a lot of it is that bronze color. I think you did a good job on these.
Like it a lot. Nice skin. Great posing. Like this is really nice scatter terrain.
I was gonna say, he's got cool matching terrain. Yeah, they look good. All right, Sheepy, who I believe that's either Graham or Wayne.
Okay.
From the Wargaming Vault. Unfortunately, do they get any bigger? Yeah, there we go. Blow them up. So these are, what are these? 8 median Persian armored mounted warriors.
Nice.
Photo's not best quality, but that's cool.
Yeah, very colorful.
Great job mixing in all those crazy colors.
Right.
Doing designs on the pants there. 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4, 5 of them. Maybe 6.
That
Probably
is crazy.
guessing all
My gosh.
Yeah, these guys are wild. That's cool. They'll serve you well. All right.
Very well done.
And that is the last official one. Chris got in on it, but he did not meet the deadline. But he did some Sith chariots.
Yep.
And he did what I would do. It looks a little empty with just the one extra crewman. Look, it looks like there's some room in the back of that pickup for the other two guys' money. But these are cool.
Yes. I think these are 3D prints too. Like the whip makes me think that. And I got to say, these scythe chariots, like, holy cow. I know the Romans didn't give the Romans any fits, the scythe chariots, but every other army that faced scythe chariots, it was pretty horrible when these guys would get cooking and start going through formed troops. So, yeah, yikes.
That's cool. Yeah, a lot of work, a lot of horses. 8 horses, 2 carts, 4 guys.
Right.
Well done.
Point them towards your opponent's biggest unit and hope you roll well.
Yeah. Okay, Monty. Looking back, what are your top 3 here for you?
Ooh, that's tricky. I think the Persian elephant was, gorgeous.
Yep, Angus H. He's definitely in my top 3.
Right. I adore the brass work on a couple of these, but I think like the one that just kind of stands out just a little bit more because of like the smokiness and the layering was ABG's Spartans. And it's tough. Like the double elephants are wonderful, but also, oh man, I know what a pain in the butt those huge chariots, a 2-pack of them, like basically painting 3 full units to finish, a pair of heavy chariots. But that's just me. There's a lot of great work in here.
Definitely a lot of great submissions. So yeah, I like Terry's Chariots. I like Glotkins Hearthguard. They just got a good feel to them.
Yep.
You know, everything is kind of on the same wavelength, and they're kind of everybody went pretty darn bright, and they're kind of one of the darker ones. So yeah, they kind of caught my eye that way. I do like the Jarl's elephants and the ABGs, Spartans for sure, and Angus H's elephant, and then I really like Robin's Spartans too. He's good. Quite a few extra points. So yeah, I'd probably say Robin, ABG, and Angus H are my top three. And yeah, we decided now we had to give it to Angus for the biggest horse of all, the elephant. Yeah, man, great job. That was our favorite. Just that paint style, you know. It just looks good.
Really
it's
does.
Kind of like a darker. I kind of want to try my hand at painting something like this because it's interesting. So it's like a darker mid-tone. There's no, real dark shadows. It's just that mid-tone, and then you just kind of highlight directly onto that. But there are some layers kind of built up, but it's just kind of a nice, even, clean look to it, and yeah, that's why we had to pick it, buddy.
Yep.
Yeah. So well done, Angus H. Get in contact. You are the winner of a Saga Thursday, Thirsty Thursday pint glass, my friend, and we are giving away a Gripping Beast $25 gift certificate to one of the random folks here as well. So thanks to Gripping Beast. We had 13 entries. If we get Angus, I'm gonna redraw it. 7 is the Jarl. So he had the other elephants, didn't he? Yeah, it was a pachyderm day out there on the Saga Thursday battlefield. So awesome. Congrats. So Jarl, Angus, get in touch with me. We'll get you the hook up there. And yeah, I was pretty shocked that we had that number of entries there.
Right.
So when we kept it open to almost anything, I think we were at 16 or 17. So we're only a few less when we kind of dialed it in. And there wasn't a lot of time for this one either. No. So pretty darn impressed with everything that people have put together there. So, all right, let's close that chapter of Saga Thursday.
Yeah, well done.
Open up a new chapter. Okay, so now Gripping Beast now is not only sponsoring the paint contest, they are sponsoring the Patreon quarterly contest. So for the last couple episodes, there's been a shake-up there. So Gripping Beast is one of 3 sponsors now. So we're going to do the big Patreon loot draw, which will be 3 or 4 things here. So first up, we got Gripping Beast, and definitely head on over there, check out. I saw they've got some pretty good successor war bands that they've put together, and those are some of their better models, and they look pretty cool, so I would check those out. We've got Andrew at Medbury Miniatures. So these other 2 are 3D prints. So his prize will be these 13th century Knights at Rest crossbowmen with early pavises. So this was his unit giveaway last month for his Patreon. And so he has a historical and a fantasy. There might be a sci-fi. I should know that. But
wow.
Yeah, so he has a historical unit every month and definitely a fantasy unit, so kind of Lord of the Rings style. So my dream of playing Age of Magic, but we all have Lord of the Rings armies only. Is one step closer to reality with what Andrew's putting out at Medbury Miniatures there. So definitely loving those. Go check those out. And from Marcos at Reconquer Designs, we have more as crossbowmen. So we got more crossbowmen. 2 crossbow units this month. And he is also working on this battery. Monty, did you see the battering ram that you put together?
I have not seen it yet. No.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Okay.
I've got a little kind of a teaser image that he put up here. So the unit is being given away. So we've got 25 pounds from Gripping Beast. We've got the Crosswoman from Medbury. We've got the Crosswoman from Reconquer, and those 2 are STL files. And then you'll get the STL file, for the Rodge Troubadour miniature as well.
Yes.
So you have to be a lifeguard or higher to qualify for this one. So I'll pop back over and generate 1 through 18. Basically, your odds are 1 in 6 if you meet the if you meet the criteria.
Right.
Came back as a 7 again.
That's
so
awesome.
That's
right.
Sean Moomey. So
well done, Sean.
yeah, congrats, Sean. Thank you for your support, and I'll get all that stuff over to you. Can't wait to see a fine painted Rodge miniature at Adepticon. I am kind of owed that, I think. I feel, Monty, don't you?
I think that's worth asking for, yes, for sure.
Yeah, there will be one of these in the charity raffle at Fimbulwinter as well. And Monty, you're going to get one of 2. You're just going to get one because you're
all right.
A nice guy.
I love it.
Yeah, originally I was going to do, kind of a Rodge figure, like on like a mule or a donkey or something, But then I was like, oh, I can't do that because then people are going to say, oh, Monty's the donkey. It must be. I had to back off from that one.
You've been watching too much Shrek.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So, and there's actually one more drawing for the Hearthguard level, but we're not going to do it in this episode because that is the the Pagan Rus army that you painted up, buddy.
Yes. Yes.
So we're going to be giving that away at Fimbulwinter. So that drawing will be in a few weeks. It'll be done live. There's a lot at stake. Yeah, looking forward to that. So yeah, that's the award for kind of last year. So if you are at a Hearthguard or higher during this year, you will be entered into one of my armies.
Nice.
So that is how it works. Okay.
I like it.
Let's move on to the Crusades. Monty?
Yes.
How are you feeling?
I think so.
Okay, yeah.
So far, so good. So let's go.
Pretty smooth and supple there, like usual. Okay. So we're going to break down the Age of Crusades factions for you. So if you're thinking about getting into Crusades, or you just want to know kind of the play styles of the different armies, we are going to dive right into this. So we did one for Vikings, worked out well. Now, the Crusades, for me, is harder to pin down than the Vikings. One, I haven't played as many Crusades games. And then 2, I feel like they're closer in theme to each other than the way that the Viking Age was set up. Comments on that, Monty?
Yeah, I mean, there are certainly some interesting mechanics in the Age of Crusades. There's some interesting equipment options. I mean, we can dive in and see what we flip here.
Okay. Yeah. We'll probably see some themes running throughout this, but let's jump in. We're going to go in the order of the book.
Right.
And we got our battle boards here.
We do.
We didn't do our homework, but we brought our homework with us
it's right here.
Right before we got to hand it in. All right. So Byzantines are up first. So These guys are
Rated as 1 star.
1 star. So, do you agree with that 1 star? Say this is difficulty rating, so it's not
Right.
strength rating.
Right,
Now,
right.
it's hard to disentangle those at times, I would
Right.
say, but
So can I lead with a controversial opinion here? I don't think they really are a 1, and that's for a couple reasons. First of all, it's a mostly levy army, or it turns out like this board really supports levy. And then the second issue is they have an unusual mechanic called Domesticos, where you need to feed like 3 dice up into Domesticos every turn to really make it work right. And if you're not doing that, you're not going to have success with the Byzantines. And it's very tempting to look and say, oh, what's this Domesticos stuff? And just try to play the board raw. And I think you would be very disappointed. So between the kind of unusual mechanic with Domesticos, the ability that there's some weird plays on here where units that aren't shooting units become shooting units, the positioning of units, the levy build, it's. I mean, I think it might actually be a 2-star rating, but that's me.
all right. Well, if we were looking at this compared to like all Saga factions, maybe I would agree with you. But I think in the Age of Crusades, compared to the stuff we're going to be looking at later, combined with, so we've got the levy, and it's primarily a defensive static
Right.
shooting.
It is primarily defensive.
So maybe that mechanic is a little trickier than you would think, but combined with resilient levy being defensive and a shooting type army, with all those mixed in, I would still give them a 1.
Okay.
So maybe a 1.5 Saga Thursday rating there. So I would say this is a shooting army.
Yep.
A defensive army. Would
yes.
you?
Yes, 100% agree.
I wouldn't say it's really a combined arms. I mean, you could maybe try to take it that way, but I've never seen people really roll that way. I don't know. What are your thoughts about a combined arms versus just pure defense shooting?
I mean, the thing that I see people doing to kind of help the staticness of your walls of levy is they'll bring in 1.5 points or sometimes 2 points of Hearthguard. They might sneak in, a Merc. But yeah, it's a little hard to say they're really combined arms. They're super hard to shift. They can put out so many shots. They're really hard to destroy, but they're also a little slow-footed too.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, a little slower.
Yep.
Yeah. So overall, I think we kind of threw the style out there. I guess I would say they are the levy faction for Age of Crusades. Would you say that, Monty?
Yes. If you like Anglo-Saxons, you might want to check out Byzantines. Yeah. And if you like big armies with lots of figures, if that's what you want to paint, you will love painting Byzantines.
Yeah. So if you want to keep on annoying your friends throughout the ages here,
right?
It's a natural step here.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think one thing almost in the Crusades, I think most armies will have a levy unit. I'll say that, where that's not necessarily the case in Vikings. There's an army that'll give them a run for their money with the levies, but I don't think really is the levy army. So yeah, that is the Byzantines. Moving on to Crusaders.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, I don't think they're that
you lead
easy
on
to
this
run.
one. Oh, so 2-star maybe.
It's tough. When I know what's ahead, I think, it probably is easier. I don't think it's easy to play, but I think there's actually some really strong abilities here. Yeah, I'll stick with the 1 star here.
I mean, it is tricky. I will support you on that, in that the very first decision you have to make is you look at this board and you have to decide, do you want to be Baltic Crusaders or Levant Crusaders? And they need to be built in completely different ways.
Yes.
They'll be run in completely different ways. So that's that's an important decision point.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, they'll play differently. I guess, you can definitely kind of go like a horde mechanic. We're leaving the special guys out of it. So
right.
Leave that out of the comments. We don't want to see Peter the Hermit mentioned, okay, guys?
Right.
But yeah, there's actually quite a few different ways to play it. We've got kind of the Pilgrim build. I mean, they can be pretty nasty, just 2 or 3 units of those guys. Lately in the Europe, the shooter, the warrior, double activate your warrior, 48 bowman type build. And then you get to the Baltic Crusaders, so kind of Hearthguard heavy.
Yep.
So this is kind of a theme, I think, of the Crusades. We're really specific Hearthguard type abilities and trying to encourage heavy knights, kind of helping them out as best they can when almost everybody's going to have some bow or crossbow levy kicking about. They need a little something to make them the elites that they are, not just pin cushions. What are you going to pin a play style on this? I would definitely.
Yeah.
I know there's that one shooting build that uses the fatigue-free activations.
Right.
But otherwise, it is kind of combined arms, though, because we got chinks in their armor, Jericho for shooting.
Yep.
I don't know. You've played them, Monty.
I have.
What do you think here?
Right. I think the Baltic Crusaders, being Hearthguard heavy, is probably where you go with some shooting. They could be very punchy, very aggressive, and they seem to be fairly popular in tournaments. There's something that can, like you said, they have the ability to kind of tank up and resist being shot off the table. And they could be on foot, they could be mounted. So, and also, I would just throw out, if you have a Norman warband, that would port out very easily to your Baltic Crusader. Well, I mean, the Baltic Crusaders have a lot of mounted Hearthguard. So, but you can use those guys to also do the Levant too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got a little bit of everything. Yeah,
they do. They do.
I would say combined arms. There's a couple really good defensive abilities, but then there are some good attack abilities as well. Some fatigue removal, efficiency. Yeah, there's just a little bit of everything here. So, combined arm Crusaders. If you do want to lean into one direction, I think you can definitely do that. What's their claim to fame, Monty, in the Age of Crusades?
Their claim to fame. I'm stumped. Like, are we talking about like in Saga or in history?
This battle board in the game of Saga. So I'm going to say they have the most resilient Hearthguard of any of the factions.
Yes.
There's a number of abilities here that they can get out of trouble. They can shrug off fatigues. They can tank up, especially if you're going Baltic. So these are, if you want to play Hearthguard, I would say this is probably the warband for you.
Right.
Think that's fair?
I think that's fair. And if you don't mind painting like different options, they have the benefit of the Baltic Crusaders. They can be on foot. And so if they're on foot and then you play Happy on the Humble and you increase your armor and resilience, you become really hard to shoot off the table. And, when you're facing a lot of shooting in Saga, that can be kind of attractive to be the faction that's kind of shooting resistant.
Most definitely. Shooting resistant. They got the 2 melee abilities for defense that are very quite strong. So, I think the Hearthguard are where it's at with Crusaders. All right. Moving on to Ordenstadt. Monty?
Yep.
What do you think about this one star?
I wish we could bounce this one back to you. They're 1 star. Like, the idea is it's kind of straightforward. And I know there are people who have had, like, they run Ordenstadt and they're happy with it. And I tried a few times and I kind of gave up without really digging deep. So I might not be the one to rate this. I don't know that I don't know if it's like that the board is so difficult. To me, it's that Saga, like to me, like when you were sifting through your battle boards, plays that are efficient, like stand out, and I haven't like quite figured out how to make this work. So for me, apparently, it's at least 1.5 to 2.
Yeah, I would say it's at least a 2. So some of these abilities are not great. They're kind of mixed. You know, you pay a cost to them. So I'll just, the Mutadawea are the peace traders, numero uno, but Ordenstadt are really close behind here because you are taking some big drawbacks on some of these abilities here. So if you're not an experienced player, to know when, sometimes you're better off like not using the ability, putting it, you'd just be better off putting in a combat bonus, depending what you're trying to do. So you really got to know the Saga math is kind of, after my review with Patrick of the Ordenstadt.
Right.
He knows when the time is right to sacrifice some guys. And, there's not too many builds. We've got the Knock Osten crossbow warrior build. I think, I don't know, going with a little bit of everything, you probably really got to know your Saga basics to do well with this warband here. I would say melee oriented, it can shoot. Yeah, it's definitely harder pinning down these Crusade factions. I mean, because you could just take one. If you want to shoot with most of these, you can, take 2 or 3, the big crossbow unit here. But I would say generally this is a melee peace trading faction. I don't know, Monty, thoughts there?
I think you've summed it up. And we'd need Patrick really to I'd have to go back and watch the show one more time. I really should watch it and give it one more run out.
Yeah, this is definitely a peace trading faction. I think the difference is with the Mutadawea, where the Mutadawea, the unit that is being sacrificed is the one doing the damage with the Mutadawea. And with the Ordenstadt, the units being sacrificed are not generally the units doing the damage. They're good. The guys being sacrificed are going to set up a later play, or they're not even involved in the combat and they're going down like flies.
Right.
So if you like sacrificing your levies, this is the warband for you, I'd say. Okay.
Agree.
Next up, we've got the Moors here.
Moors.
And I don't know, Monty, are these on 1 star? Out of the 3 Muslim factions, are these the easiest ones to play?
They might actually be, as we kind of dig into it. I know they got a little bit FAQ'd, so that's like one thing to keep in mind.
To kind of just glance at the board here.
Right. 3 different abilities were changed up a little bit, but I would say they have an interesting mix here. So you do have some choices on how you want to play the Moors. You could certainly play them on foot. Myself, I am such a big fan of javelin mounted warriors. They can fly around, and even on a double move with their +1, if they're hitting someone who can't close ranks, they can just be a great threat. So I love that they've got that in here. They have some nice defensive stuff. They have some nice efficiencies for activations and ability to spread fatigue. And so the fatigue part is the trickier part. The fatigue manipulation and when to try to use fatigue and manipulate fatigue is the harder part. But the rest of it might be a little more straightforward than the other 2 Muslim factions, the other 2 remaining Muslim factions.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think these abilities are a little more straightforward than those others 2, maybe just slightly ahead of Saracens. So I I would probably give it 2 stars, but like on the top, ahead of the other ones there. I think it definitely, can trend towards a mounted, but I don't know. I've typically seen, just a little bit of everything. Another combined arms type build will do well here. So, yeah. Do they have a claim to fame, Monty?
I mean, people love Discord, but it got a little nicked. You can now only dish the 3 fatigues on your enemy during the enemy's orders reaction, rather than dish it and then go pound on the units immediately. So that used to be their big claim to fame. The other one was Torrents of Iron is really good. It's a little like reading the verbiage, you're like, wait, what? But it's extremely like for Hearthguard, for their mounted Hearthguard, it does give you the ability to like erase whoever goes in with Torrent of Iron. That's a really good hard punch.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts for their claim to fame?
That's tough. Little combined arms. I don't know if they're doing it the best. Maybe the toughest Muslim Hearthguards. I don't know. Saracen's got some stuff though too.
They do.
Kind of. Yeah, it's harder. It's harder pinging these ones down, but I don't know. Probably the most defensive of the Muslims.
I think so. That's good. I like that. Okay. I would agree. Most defensive.
Muslims. This one's the most defensive out of all of them, but just barely. We're really grasping at straws there. Okay. Moving on. Militus Christi.
Yes. We broke into the 2-star rating here now.
2-star. Is this one a 2? I don't remember.
I would say
flip-flopping here, but I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, no worries. I would say absolutely. Maybe 2.25 because Orison is like it will take a little bit of practice. Orison is a unique ability, and how you feed the Orison pool, you have to like use your plays in your advanced saga abilities to generate Orison dice, but you're also trying to activate units, you're trying to do other advanced saga abilities, but you're also trying to push your saga dice up into Orison. And so I had tried it once or twice, and I was just a little unhappy. Like, it was a little clumsy because I like first time through, I'm like, what am I doing here? And second time was a little better. And I have to say, playing Stephen, playing Militus Christi in a tournament, and he had really drilled down and played these guys for like a whole couple saga season. And I watched, like, once I saw, like, he would be like, okay, I'm going to do this, and now now I'm moving up. And I was like, there it goes. I could see it. I could see how it works. So that's the hard part, is just how do you, like, build your board and how do you feed Orison? That'll take a few tries.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely not a 2-star. I would just round this up to a 3. 3? It's definitely a, it's lacking the levy option, the levy shooters that everybody else gets.
Right.
So you're going to kind of be down there. It wants you to build your warband a certain way. Some of these abilities, again, aren't real clear cut whether they're helping you or not. Yeah.
Right.
I would say this is like a Saga Veterans board. You got to know the basics and know when to pop these abilities here. They are definitely a melee warband.
Yep.
This is probably the most melee. They're going to be mounted typically.
Yep. Yes, they will.
I would say this is probably the most melee warband. I mean, melee.
Agree.
Melee. Yeah, I mean, you probably won't have any shoot. I think you could take like some bow warriors, maybe. I don't remember if they can even take those, but they're not really supported. So you're basically, I think this is the melee faction in Crusades. Just looking at the rest of the list here. Yeah, I think this is going to be it.
Mm-hmm.
If you like to fight, this is the Vikings of the Crusades era, but even trickier, perhaps.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on.
Yes.
Mutatawea.
Yes.
Monty's
So
absolute
good.
favorite.
So good.
He's working on his fifth build right now.
Right. I need to stop selling them.
Okay. I'll be up. I think it's a 2-star. There's some really strong abilities here. There's some traps if you don't know what you're doing. You are losing guys left and right. It's fun more of the peace trading board for sure. Are you shooting much with this? Do you take any bow guys, Money?
I often run them with nothing, like no shooting, no bow warriors. I'm just not a fan of bow warriors, and their lower armor does not help you with these abilities where you're lowering your armor. And since the bow warriors
caught out, yeah,
exactly, bow warriors start as a 3/3, and there's really nothing on here that helps them. So no, I just plow it all into fighters. Warriors and Hearthguard, no bow for me.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely a melee focused, I would say. Yeah. With the Allahu Akbar, you got some range punch. Their claim to fame, we're talking those camels, baby.
Yes,
you want
that's
camels?
so good.
Yeah,
and Bloodbath.
Yeah, this is the faction. You want to take a couple camels just to be a spoiler in the event. When you go up against that mounted guy, this is the faction for you. It's definitely a peace trading faction, but definitely camels, though. That's more important. I'll rank the camels.
Gotta have camels.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. Pagan peoples.
Yep. You should cover this
Bane
one.
of Monty's existence.
Yes. Well, it was for a time.
Yeah, so this is definitely a shooty warband. Let's be clear about that.
Yep.
The shootiest, I kind of had to look. I think it probably is the shootiest. It can be a levy heavy warband, but I think you'll go like you could take 4 points of levy with the Byzantines and sit just right. And 4 points of levy at the Pagan peoples, you could do it, but I think you'll probably be wishing you didn't have so many 8 levy units. Oh man. So there is a little melee mixed in, but definitely the multiple small units. So this is a small unit army. Claim to fame would be the teleporting, of course. Gotta love that ability. Probably the only... These guys are kind of like the Irish Monty here. They have too many claims to fame is the issue. They've got the terrain thing going on.
Yep.
They've got the shootiness going on. They got the teleport going on. So any faction would be very happy with one of those three. So
it's true.
When you combine that with the multiple small units, it can be a very tough for your opponent to try and come out and get after you. Because oftentimes you're just taking out these little units. You're not really getting your points back. So, yeah, shooting, multiple small units. Yeah, these are the Irish of the Crusades age, my friend.
Right.
Yeah, they got to disentangle the terrain from the shooting, I think, on these boards. Yeah, either one or the, they fight in terrain good or they shoot.
Yeah, good point.
It's tough when you start stacking those unique abilities like that.
Agree.
I'm going to give it a 1 star. I mean, you can... It's tough to go. I've tried to build bad warbands to play just more casual with them, and it doesn't work. I have to just not use abilities on the board in those situations. So
too good.
I'm gonna give it a 1 star. What are you thinking? 1 star, Monty, or?
I mean, I think I have never played these even once because I have a buddy who plays them a little bit. I don't really have the figures. I do think you can lean in different directions, and they just all seem to be good. They all seem to pay dividends.
Yep.
So
taking some Hearthguard's good.
yeah.
Loading up the levy's good. The Bow Warrior's good. Taking one big unit of Bow Warrior's good. Taking the Javelin Hearthguard is good. But if you want to teleport the heavy weapon guy, that's good.
Oh yeah, it is.
It's tough to go wrong, like I said. So I think a newbie is probably there's some nuance there of moving those things around, but more often than not, they're going to be doing just fine. All right. Polish coming in to the back here. So, Monty, Polish, 2 stars. What do you think?
I think that's probably about right. It can sometimes be a little bit of a head scratcher. You'll hear people say, how exactly do I play Poles? And that can be a little bit of a quandary. They've got a little bit of interesting stuff here. I think they got a couple FAQs that helped a little. So I think it's better than it was, but not really facing the Polish hardly at all. I think I played them like once, maybe twice, for and against, not having a lot of experience about it. I think too, based on just people struggling to like figure out what to do with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a combined arms army gone a little awry. So it's tough to build these boards, I think, in Saga. So, for every Norman board, you got the last Romans equivalent, where it's kind of forcing it a little too much, and it's cutting down on the synergy that you can normally get from stacking abilities, because these ones are mounted only or foot unit only, and it's got to be a unit that can close ranks only. So these abilities are so specific, and you have to take these specific units that any given unit can only really use a couple of these abilities, and being kind of locked in like that in the game of Saga isn't the best. The best boards have very few limitations on their abilities and who can use them. So I would say combined arms doesn't quite land. Even a veteran was gonna. Where I think a veteran can get satisfaction from trying to get like Militus Christi to work.
Yep.
I don't feel like you'd get the same satisfaction. You'd probably just get frustrated. So claim to fame here, though, I'll say the Squire's ability, very cool. Often not a great idea, but upgrading your warriors to Hearthguard mid-game is really cool. It's really thematic.
Yep.
If you're playing survival point scenarios, do it. Yeah, that'll work for you. But have you ever played the Polish, Monty?
Like maybe once, and that's the challenge. Like I'm looking at it, it's exactly as you've described it, Rodge. There's foot. There's specialist does one thing, but then it's pushing into heavy weapons. Then another thing wants you to be mounted and charging, and you just keep going. Like each thing is very specific, and when you're done, you have to figure out where am I leaning into. Like what kind of army am I gonna field? Yeah.
So I would say I don't think we said it specifically, but I'm going to give him a 3-star. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I back that.
Okay. Up next, Eastern Princes competing heavily against the Polish for their mediocrity. Again, some of these abilities are kind of dragging you in different directions. I'd say this one's actually a little more straightforward here. You can have some fun with this one, I think. With some of these abilities are really quite good. Taking that big heavy weapon warrior unit.
Yep.
And then gaining a bajillion defense dice could be fun. I don't know. How are these different from Polish, Monty?
Well, I mean, there are. Okay, I am very tempted. One day, I think I will paint and play Eastern Princes. You showed me enough that I was intrigued. And there are some really standout abilities. Like to me, hesitation, like the ability to like kind of tell your opponent, if you play that thing on your board that's so good, I know you're going to play it. You're going to give me 2 Saga dice, and I choose the facing of those Saga dice. Like that stops some people, right? That's just downright good. And Lords of the East with Hearthguard getting Resilience 1, like there's things you can really seize on and build around. And when I look at the Polish board, I see things, but I'm like, would I build around this? I mean, what am I doing? And yet, like you said, 12 Levy warriors in 1 unit playing Brothers in Arms, and ad nauseam. Those make sense.
Yeah, I think the difference is, so yeah, they're both kind of combined arms here, but you're going to have a moment or two of glory, I think, with the Eastern Princes in your battle, where something's going to work and it's going to be cool. You might not win the war, but you're going to have a couple of really good plays. Some of these abilities are quite good. Claim to fame would have to be that war wagon, buddy.
Yes, I would agree.
We haven't mentioned it, but it's gone down. I think it's just a half point now, I believe. Perfect. So there's no reason not to roll that sucker out. And it works good for the math. You get the levy, 1 point, 1.5 warriors, 12 heavy weapons, the cart, and then 2 units of 6 Hearthguard, or 3 units of 4 Hearthguard, I think is what it was taken. But yeah, there's a little something here to work off of, I feel.
Agreed.
Would you say they are a 2-star?
I think like 3, I'm trying to really think, like 3 is really hard. I think you could jump into this, and while you might be kind of like, in the beginning you're like, how am I going to build my warband? But I think 2 works. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd put it down on towards the kind of bottom of the 2s, one of the harder 2s. So head of the Polish, but it might be the last 2 before you get to the 3s.
Right.
Okay, moving on to the Saracens. Monty, what's going on with these guys?
So one interesting thing is that there's a website. I mean, it adds in here. There's a website. It's now down, but unfortunately, it used to track like performance for Saga warbands in tournaments, win-loss. Yeah, wow. Win-loss in age and win-loss out of age. And I, over time, watched the Saracens creep up. Like they were kind of like lower third. And then I also have heard about like people who are really good at Saga taking the Saracens to big tournaments. So I'm like, I scratch my head. I'm like, I'm not seeing it, but someone else is seeing it. There's something in here. I think that's why, like looking at it, like you're thinking composite bow Hearthguard or composite bow mounted warriors are always a little tricky to run because they die so quickly. And, like, do you run out, shoot, and then just come back? And now I have to spend a whole Saga die to rest and then go out and shoot and come back. That just seems so inefficient. But people are figuring it out. People not named Monty Lumen. And they're figuring out, they're taking it to events, and they were doing well. So there's something here.
Yeah, I like a lot of these abilities. There's a couple stinkers, but so the underlying composition is composite bows. So we've got these and the Mongols, which we'll get to for a composite bow faction. So the Mongols have some tricks they can play there, but you're stuck with the composite bows here. So we know they're just tougher to get your points back. And I would say, especially if we're looking at an Age of Crusades vacuum, where pretty much every army can come at you. If you try to pull the hit and run BS, they'll just come after you, and you don't have the ability to stop them. So there is some good stuff here. I think trying to limit the composite bow, don't lean into that too hard. I think Hamza was saying just 1 or 2 units maybe, and just kind of muscling through with melee on the rest. So I would say these, trying to think of the claim to fame here, Monty. Are they more composite bow than the Mongols?
Gosh, I don't think
I think
so.
the Mongols are.
I think the Mongols are
Well, they
more.
lean a little bit more into that.
Yeah.
Like I just
Yeah.
said, yeah, Hamza, they take 1 or 2 units.
Right. Right.
It's tough. Definitely probably the most combined arms of the, if we're saying the Mutts are melee
Mm-hmm.
and the Moors were defensive, then this is
Yep.
the,
Combined.
or the combined arms.
Yeah. Makes
Gosh,
sense.
you will take the composite bows. We've got some good melee abilities here. And one that can turn it around and become a good defensive ability as well. And appeal to the prophet, resilience too. That's pretty darn tasty.
Always good.
Okay. Let's hit up the Spanish.
Home stretch.
Monty, this is probably one of the first ones we've done
Yep.
for faction reviews for version 2.
Yep.
Very early before you are a regular contributor. And I don't think I've played them ever. And so I really don't hardly remember anything about the Spanish.
It's okay. It's one of those things where I and many version 1 Spanish players adored the Spanish trickery. It took a while to master like a complicated bike, but once you got it cooking, it was downright mean, like its ability to shut down units and mess with your opponent. So they tanked them pretty hard. I should say they changed them pretty hard in version 2. So a lot of people looked at the board and how expensive it is and like, oh, this doesn't work. That's not the same. But again, to your more talented, more experienced players who are willing to like really dig in, kind of like what I said with the Saracens, a handful of players have been really doing deep dives on the Spanish and finding ways like the stunned ability, the ability, anytime you can shut down a unit activation entirely. And there's some little tricks in here, the sequencing of dishing of fatigue and then playing, messing up your opponent with that fatigue, that kind of counterplay, which is difficult to do, and it's not all that clear when you first sit down with a warband. I think that's where the 3 comes from, but I think it can also, in the right hands or with practice, it can be competitive like the Saracens. Mm-hmm. But more of a mess with your opponent.
Yeah, so this is, as the activation and reaction goes,
Yes.
this is it for Age of Crusades. They didn't really, Crusaders got something. I don't know if anybody else has anything. Polish have one. Princes have one. This is pretty much it. And you can load that up actually quite a few times if you wanted to be a pretty darn cagey. So this is the activation reaction warband. As I recall, the mounted javelin man is your go-to warrior. So a little shooting, but activation reaction. The Welsh of the monkey. I wouldn't quite say that, but they're on the spectrum there. And yeah, they're cool. I'm definitely those Reconquer Design minis, man. They're pushing me towards rocking some Spanish. Okay. Down to what are they a 3 difficulty, Monty?
I think so because you have to be very careful. You're running, like if you're going mounted javelin warriors, they're very easy to shoot. They're easy to kill in melee. So you really have to handle them carefully. So you got to be careful with when you do Iberia. You got to put a lot of thought into how you sequence things. And the board has a shocking number of abilities that require a flag. So guess what? When you can't roll a flag, you're going to have to work with the rest of the board.
Uh-huh. All right. Sounds good. I'll take your word for it. All right, last one up here. We got the Mongols. So composite mounted bow warriors. They do get a camel, which I like. Mm-hmm. And he's a pretty badass camel drummer. So this board, it's not the easiest, but I don't with the camel drummer being a half point now. I'm gonna round these guys up to a 2 for difficulty. What do you think about that?
I think that's doable. Like your build is pretty much mounted, right? So that's
Hmm.
not a hard decision. And the camel drummer is really an auto take. And so it's
Yeah.
about the efficiency of I now can move everyone on like one drumming sequence, and now I'm going to use my dice to pull back or charge or do things. And it's just like getting into the swing, the sequencing of how do I want to build my board. So I think a three, like a three is top level. I think the Mongols, I think you're right. I think they might be more of a two.
Yeah. So without the camel drummer, I would say this is probably a 3 type board. But the camel drummer kicks it up to a 2. There's definitely some Saga veteran appeal here with just the equipment swaps. So if
Yep.
you're a newbie, yeah, when do you switch to which? It's
Good
going to be
point.
a bit of a challenge. So I do think that mechanic is a little more advanced, but a lot of these aren't too tricky to figure out. And I would say this is the composite bow faction. So I think they nailed it. That's what you would expect when you hear Mongols,
Mm-hmm.
and they did a pretty good job. I think I don't know. They did a pretty good job. It's always going to be tough getting a shooting composite bow faction. I would have liked if this one was just a little more noob friendly, because Mongols are one of the iconic factions out there, up with
Agree.
Vikings and Spartans
Yep.
and Mongols. Yeah, definitely top 3, 4, 5. As far as what people recognize. So having a little more newbie friendly board, I think, could have been a boon for the game. But I think the flavor and everything pretty much delivered for this one otherwise. So yeah, that
Nice.
is the Age of Crusades.
Well done.
So running themes throughout, a lot of horses,
Oh yeah.
levy shooters. Some of these you can really lean into shooting if you want, but you probably the default wouldn't. A lot of these are leaning into Hearthguard, so they're kind of trampling each other on theme a little bit. You can see we had some issues trying to parse out what makes them distinct on a few of these, but overall, I don't know. What do you think for the Crusades era and feel, Monty?
I think it's a great mix. I think that like obviously we've touched on a few boards that like are a little tougher to like figure out what you do with, but I think if you open an Age of Crusades event, you can see half or more of this field is like can run and make it to the top spot. And that's part of what makes Saga so fun, that there's not like one dominant faction, one auto
Mm-hmm.
win, and then everyone picks that one, and then the rest of us, we all play the same thing. No, where there's really a nice solid, a solid bunch of choices and play styles in there.
Yeah, I agree. And quite a few of these aren't necessarily really locked into one type of build either. So where Age of Vikings, that kind of is the case on a lot of them.
Right.
There's lots of ways you can run the Crusaders. You can play 3 Crusader armies and face 3 different. One of them you're bogged down in pilgrims. The
Yep.
second one you're shot to hell, and then the third one, are these unstoppable Hearthguard walking across the table. So
Right.
I think there's a couple war bands like that are just they can get it done with anything. So definitely a great age. Has a little more fact stuff than some of the other books. So this was one that was maybe wasn't cooked quite enough to get it out the door. So this was when second edition first came out. Vikings was out right away, and then Crusades was pretty soon thereafter. So you can maybe explain the extra fact stuff that way. They added new factions and everything. So overall, pretty good. I'd love to do Age of Crusades campaign or something. Right before COVID, that's what the plan was for our local. We're all going to go Crusades, but
Oh, nice.
it fell through, Monty.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was not to be. Okay, so if you have any thoughts on what we dished out there, let us know. If you missed anything, definitely not an expert on that stuff.
Right.
If you haven't gotten onto the Saga Thursday Discord server yet, definitely do that. We're up to 764 members.
Nice.
That's quite a bit, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, definitely check that out. I do want to thank all the Saga Thursday patrons for making this happen. So we are up. We just crossed the threshold for a podcast format. So we got a bill right at the end of the month. So if we bill February and there's no drops, and I get towards the end of February and there's still no drops, then I'm going to be doing the legwork to get a podcast up in March is kind of what I'm looking at there. So
wow.
Yeah, we just keep going up and up. Now, at the level we're at currently, we're working towards a third episode of Saga Thursday per month. So that's additional to the one with you and then the one with me. So if we get to that, I have to do 5. I'm a little worried here.
What have you done?
If we get to, it'll be 5 episodes. So there's a patron-only video. So that would be some months have 5 weeks. You're covered there. So you'd have something new for Saga every week, which would be pretty cool. So thanks to Terry, Patrick, Sean, Mitchell, Kevin, and Scott, and the rest of the patrons. Couldn't do it without you guys. And what do we have coming up here on February? This is coming out the 2nd, so February 9th, we have the Horde faction review with Chris, so some Age of Magic. And then on the, if that's the 9th, that must be the 16th. So before Fimbulwinter comes out, will be a video of a style that I haven't done before. I'm not going to say what it is now because I don't want to generate any discussion now, but I think people will enjoy it. And you guys will see it when it comes out. And I think there will be more videos like it when it comes out. So I'll just put that little teaser out there. So we got Fimbulwinter coming up, Monty.
Yes.
That's going to be awesome. I'm thinking probably Fimbulwinter topics in March. We'll see. But then at the end of March is Adepticon.
Yes.
So, holy smokes. We got a couple awesome tourneys.
Going to be great.
Looking forward to. So, all right, guys. If you liked any of the paint contest entries and want to chime in, put some feedback for those folks, post below. As far as the breakdown of Age of Crusades, let Monty and I know how we got it wrong. Or what Monty got right, what I got wrong. Thanks, Monty, for sticking through it tonight. We almost called it off, but it worked out good. Sound good. And another great episode. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks, my friend. It's going to be awesome.
See you soon.
Yeah. All right, folks. We'll catch you on the next one. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Saga! If you'd like to see more Saga content, consider joining the Heathen Army over on Patreon or popping on down to the Saga Thursday Discord server. Links below. Thanks, guys.